Es melden sich gerade noch die letzten Teilnehmer an. Einen kleinen Moment und dann beginnen wir. So, herzlich willkommen zu unserem zweiten Tag. Heute geht es wieder bei der Mobility-Konferenz von Webfleet Solutions um ganz großartige Themen. Jetzt gleich wird es darum gehen, um Artificial Intelligence in der Videotelematik. Und ich habe einen ganz besonderen Gast von Lytx. Und das ist auch der Grund, warum ich jetzt auf Englisch wechsle. I very much glad to have you here, Damian Penney from Lytx. You will talk to us a little bit about AI in video telematics and how the data drives it. It's great to have you here. Very warm welcome.
Well, thank you, and thank you for inviting me to share a few thoughts and insights into how we enhance technology can really enrich data you capture today.
Before you start, I just want to invite everyone to, if you get questions, just share in the chat and we will try to answer it at the end of your presentation. If we can't answer every question, don't worry, we will come back to you via email and we're gonna make it happen. But without further ado, I'd say the stage is yours. I just hand over so you can share your screen. That should be possible now. Is that right? Hang on. No, I think I clicked.
Not quite yet, but
not quite yet. That's on me. You must not worry. Here we go. Now it should work. Perfect. Yeah. So
okay, great.
Please tell us more about the AI.
Sure. Well, I'm going to show you some new innovations in AI and machine vision. And how we can use video and sensors to radically improve safety on the road and proactively address risk before it ever happens. But before I start, I just want to explain what our role is. And Lytx has a passion for saving lives on our roadways. And we do that through the development of video sensor-based technology designed to ensure that no commercial driver is ever the cause of a collision. And we use video for good to ensure that every driver gets home safe at night. And we've developed driver assistance tools to protect, develop, and recognize those driving on the road every day. It's also important to stress that although Lytx are a technology company, we believe that the most important technology in the vehicle is the driver themselves. And as such, everything we've designed is with the driver in mind. So the challenges facing fleets today are always evolving. There's a significant push towards convergence of technology. You know, one place to see the status of your fleet, one platform, one connection, one dashboard, etc. That's the dream. And part of that push is due to the move towards gaining real insight into data that matters, that makes the greatest difference. For example, if you had 5 minutes in the day to review your data, what would deliver the greatest benefits to your bottom line, to your productivity, and to your safety? And companies want insight because the cost of doing business continues to rise, whether it be fuel prices or insurance premiums due to the rise of distracted driving. and the increase in collisions, companies continue the journey to remove waste and cost from their business. Therefore, companies look towards technology as one of the answers. The term the connected fleet is now commonplace, and a solution is seen there by having an instant access to where the vehicles are, what they're doing, how they are acting, in order to improve efficiency and safety. And as part of that push towards technology and connectivity, artificial intelligence, AI, and machine vision, MV, are now positioned as technologies that can change the way in which companies look at their fleet management. And yet with all this technology, there's also been a change in the way in which the driver is seen as being part of this revolution. At a time where fleets are looking to retain and recruit more drivers, they're also looking to more ways in which the driver can be engaged and take ownership for activities, actions that were previously reserved for their managers. So Lytx is primarily focused on safety of the driver. So let's look at how we capture and manage driver safety data. And that driver safety data is actually changing in how it's being managed. So if we look at some of the basics, there's two types of safety data that are available today. The first is a reactive safety data, telematics data that happened in the past and is based on triggers of, say, G-force or GPS, acceleration, harsh braking, speeding. These are triggers and not behaviors as such. Through typical telematics data, you don't know what behaviors caused those events. These triggers show what happened, but not why. But by then, it's too late to do anything. And if you add video to this situation, you at least see why, but it's still very reactive. And the best you can probably do is support accident reconstruction and minimize insurance claims, but ultimately it's after the fact. Now, the second set of data is about the behaviors themselves that lead to these G-force triggers taking place. They are things happening in and around a vehicle every second, and things you just don't see. Distraction and drowsiness, or tailgating, or texting, for example. And the ability to capture this data helps the driver and the business. And it helps them change their behavior before anything actually happens. And this data is captured using the machine vision and artificial intelligence and becomes a real tool for the driver and the business to prevent things from happening. It addresses risk in the moment through alerts in real time. And by this real-time engagement with the drivers does lead to a significant reduction in collision incidents. Now, you imagine taking those two data elements and combining them with and enriching them with other environmental data, congestion, say weather, construction sites, unknown collision hotspots. How much value would that bring to your fleet or to your customers? For example, in the insurance industry, if they could help identify risk taking place before an incident occurs, it would help reduce claims, bring down premiums, and eradicate the need for first notification of loss or post-incident solutions. It enables them and you to get ahead of risk on the road. Another example, if a driver is made aware of an incident that's happening 5 minutes ahead down the road before they enter that sort of red zone, and they do this because other vehicles that are part of their network have already indicated there's a problem there. How would that impact their decision-making process? Would they change their route? Would they slow down, but still get to their delivery place on time? And finally, the fleet manager could look at the risk on the road on a particular day before, right in the morning, before they dispatch and before they start the day. They could reroute accordingly. They could improve delivery times, but also, and importantly, they can improve the driver safety. And that has got to be valuable. And of course, if we can save lives because of this type of insight, then that surely is everybody's goal. Well, all these things I've spoken about are now a reality, and they're available to everybody on this call. The data, the machine vision and artificial intelligence algorithms, and the technology is here. You just need to choose whether you want to use it or not. However, when it comes to accessing and using this type of data, scale really does matter. And to get any meaningful insight, you need access to millions of vehicles moving every day, capturing activity data across billions of miles of road on a global scale. Because machines learn most rapidly when they're being educated with large volumes of data. Machines that don't have this available are just dumb and ultimately inaccurate technology. So to adopt this technology in your business, you want to know you have scale behind you, and not just the volume of data. You need the velocity of data. That means data that is rapidly coming into your business. You need a variety of data. That's data in all situations, whether it be different types of vehicles, different types of countries, different types of condition. And you need this data to have some sort of element of human validation. And as an example, to give just Lytx's view, we collect about 1 billion miles of data every 10 days. We capture about 100,000 risky events every day. And breaking it down even further, we collect about 1,000 miles of data every second. And then we review and label videos and telematic data, about 5 million of those per month. And it's that data that educates the machine vision and artificial intelligence algorithms that operate our technology. So what is machine vision and artificial intelligence technology, and how do you make it happen? Let me give you a quick overview. Machine vision sees patterns and objects, and through the use of data it receives, artificial intelligence decides on the risk associated with that's been identified by the machine. For example, a machine vision and artificial intelligence technology can provide near collision and rear safe distance alerts, perhaps, helping to protect and support the driver in real time by alerting the driver proactively of a potential imminent risk. And it does this through the identification of objects, as you can see on the screen, but combining it with other telematics data and previous scenarios that it's seen to decide if notifications are actually required. And by combining outside MVAI with inside MVAI, gives the driver a 360-degree risk identification capability. So as well as the outside, there is the inside machine vision that is used as a sensor to support the driver as they go about their day. As said, machine vision sees patterns and objectives like maybe an arm moving and a black box in a hand. And AI assesses the risk of that behavior. For example, identifying a handheld device and assessing the distraction is taking place because the tilt of the head and traveling greater than 5 miles an hour or kilometers per hour, then that is potentially a risky situation. And by alerting the driver, the machine vision becomes a driver assistance tool. This technology can also identify other distractions such as smoking, food and drink, no seatbelt, but general distraction and drowsiness are very important to be able to identify and alert the driver as it starts to happen. But most importantly, all of this can be done without the need to record video. And I repeat that, without the need for video, but by using sensors only. Quick slide to show you here, and how we've analyzed how audio alerts to the driver really help change behaviors. And you'll see around about week 24, the blue bars rapidly get smaller and smaller in size, indicating a reduction in the usage of mobile technology. This happens when the inside audio alert was switched on. And this test was done with 1,500 vehicles over a 39-week test period. And it led to immediate reduction by about 50% of the use of handheld technology when the alerts were switched on. Now that's quite a massive change in behavior, but it can only work if the alerts are accurate. Otherwise, the driver begins to tune out and stops listening to the alerts that are trying to help them. Okay, so it's been long thought that machine vision and artificial intelligence technologies that use different sensors, including video, cannot be used in many parts of Europe. But this is changing. The decision is no longer between the privacy or safety of an individual. Shall I put more weight on the privacy rights of an individual, or shall I put more weight on their safety? There's now a situation where privacy and safety can coincide together. Choices have to be made, but the demand for this technology is growing. And with, for example, EU directives on driver distraction that come into place in 2022 and implemented into every new vehicle in 2024, companies with fleets are considering how they balance that whole privacy and safety agenda. So privacy and safety can coincide, and the technology is becoming so configurable that it can work within the European GDPR umbrella. It can adapt to country-specific restrictions and can even provide choice to companies to adapt what they think is a proportionate use to achieve the goal of ultimately getting their drivers home safe at night. So, with the adoption of video-based machine vision and artificial intelligence tools rapidly taking place, I'll leave you with one thought. The concept of a global safety community is starting to become a reality because we are creating this whole connected fleet. At a fleet and country level and a regional level, companies are starting to come together now to create a network with the goal of sharing safety data. And certain initiatives are underway to expand this across regions with organizations such as Lytx and European organizations such as IRU are beginning to lobby for more collaboration to take place, working with many of the largest in the industry to begin creating this global safety community. And it starts with you and your fleet. How can we on this WebEx share data that would make every driver safer on the road, precise, actionable, enriched with video and sensors that enable decisions to be made before a journey really begins, and whilst the journey is happening, and have that information available to all network participants. It requires collaboration, it requires co-opetition, but the data and technology to interpret it is there now for you to use today. So thank you for listening to my thoughts on the use of machine vision in a connected European fleet. Thank you, and please do drive safely.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Damian. I think it's very, very interesting. And I heard, I've got a quote in my head. It says, always start with the why. And asking why did he break that harsh is more important than that he actually did break it. And being a little bit, I don't know, Sherlock Holmes and go to the roots of those events is, I think, very, very interesting. Let me check for a moment for questions, because we had questions coming in, and I've got one here, and this is there a difference between the US market and the EU market regarding driver behavior? You said you need quite a bit of variety. Maybe that's the variety you need in data.
Well, yeah, it's a funny one because it's a question I get asked a lot, especially as a sort of a British person going into Europe. You know, Europe's different to the UK, Europe's different to the US, and it's a big myth when it comes down to driver behaviors. Then whether you're tailgating in the US or tailgating in France, whether you have road rage, whether you are distracted using your mobile phone, whether you're speeding, those behaviors happen wherever you are in the world. And it's interesting. I was actually scanning through some German government data this morning, just looking at some of the collision and accident data over the last 3 years. And some of the reasons given for these collisions happening, I think one of the largest was turning into a new road or failure to stop at an intersection. And they were about 16% of the overall issues. But it didn't actually say why those things happened. It just said that's the outcome, but it wasn't why that outcome happened in the first place. And interestingly, the biggest element of collision is in the other section. That's 26% of all reasons were other. And that really means that you don't understand what is actually causing some of these collisions to take place. You know what the outcome is, and unfortunately there's too many bad outcomes happening. But what you must try and find out is why, and if you don't find out why, then you'll never be able to really reduce down those collisions on the road.
So there's just about a quarter where we actually don't know why we had an accident in Germany. That's pretty scary, actually, I have to say.
You don't know why, but you know what happened, because you can see the destruction on the road. It is scary, and there are ways today to be able to really address some of those behaviors that have led to some of those incidents happening.
All right, thank you for that answer. Sure. I have another one. I think it's quite interesting because when you shared the little movie and we saw the cars and the blinking lights, I think that reminded someone of things. The question is, autonomous driving is a future trend. Will Lytx interact with the car in future? I can imagine they're referring to, will Lytx give the car a sign to brake or anything like that? So will Lytx interact?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's some great things happening with sort of this autonomous vehicle revolution, if you like. And we are actually involved with autonomous vehicles today. We've got cameras and sensors working in AV vehicles, for example, going down the strip in Las Vegas. Those autonomous vehicles there actually have our technology in there. But it'll be less in the future about the camera as such, and it's going to be more, and I think I mentioned it in the presentation, about the data. And with autonomous vehicles, if you imagine a situation, imagine this, you've got a baby that's getting into a car today and trying to drive down the road. And guess what? They're going to have collisions, they're going to go into things, but they'll start to learn, but it will take a long time. We've got a lot of data over the last 20 years, and we're injecting all that data into these autonomous vehicles. And so the autonomous vehicle suddenly becomes like a 20-year-old person. Now, they've got a lot of history. They know some of the issues they're going to come across. They're not going to be perfect. They're still learning as they go along, but they're 20 years ahead of that baby first getting into that car. And that's a little bit like the autonomous vehicle revolution today. It's slow, it's learning, and it's learning by making mistakes. So it's going to take a long time to get there. But one thing we do know is that the only way autonomous vehicles are going to be a success is they have to use a lot of sensor and a lot of video type technology to make sure that they can actually go along the roads safer than a human being can do that.
All right. So we're going to watch that trend. I think that's will be around for the next couple of years, definitely. I think we've got one more question that is maybe a little bit more pragmatic, I want to say. As a fleet manager, what would be my first steps into video telematics?
Wow. So there's a lot of steps, but well, the first one is you need to have buy-in across the whole company for this, from the top down and the bottom up. And it needs to be seen as a cultural change to change behavior for the safety of the driver. And if it's seen as something that is out to catch the driver doing something wrong, to spy on the driver, you know, big brother, etc., then it will never work. Because that's not the goal here. The goal is to ensure that the driver has all the tools available to them to make sure that they have the safest journey they possibly can. So to start this, it starts by getting buy-in from the top and buy-in from the bottom, and the drivers who are out there need to be communicated to effectively, so they understand why you're wanting to introduce something like video technology and what the benefits are to them. Forget about the benefits to the business. It's about the benefits to them. And yes, there are benefits to the business, of course. But if the driver doesn't feel that it's going to be beneficial to them and protect them, then they're never going to accept it. And this will never be a positive experience for them. In some countries, we know that you can't use video. It's illegal. I think, you know, Portugal, Austria, perhaps. But every other country, there is different flavors that can be used. And you just need to understand what those flavors are in your particular country or your region if you go across multiple countries, and then communicate the reasons why you want to do this. And then from there, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but there is certainly a pathway to get success out of this for the drivers and obviously for your business as well.
And I'll just add one little thing. If you want to have more information, we do have a white paper from Webfleet Solutions about video telematics and our CAM 50. So the first step could be just to drop us a line right now in the chat, and we will send you the white paper afterwards. I think that's pretty good so far. Is there anything you want to add and share to give it on the way to the people?
Well, I mean, we're working closely with Webfleet. We're supporting them in their video endeavors, and we're here to support, and we're happy to help with questions as well, and support Webfleet in helping you start this whole journey towards using video telematics. If you need more information, obviously Webfleet's the first go-to, but obviously Lytx, so you can find that on the web as well, and we'll be happy to talk to you about how we can work with you and Webfleet to be a success. So thank you again for listening to the presentation.
Thank you very much. I think it was great insights into the AI here at the moment. Please stay tuned. We're gonna have a little interview now with Thomas Röhler, who's Olympic medalist, gold medalist of javelin. He will talk to our sales director of DACH, Wolfgang Schmid. And thank you very much, Damian, for having you here. And stay tuned. We will be right back in a moment. Cheers. Thanks.
Bye-bye.